guys, welcome back. Weather's fine out there. Just making a coffee, then I'm going to get cracking. So I'm on my boat. Narrowboat Moonshine, if you've not seen any of our vlogs, which is on our Narrowboat Moonshine channel, strangely enough. Yes, I've got a Webasto EVO to rebuild, so we're going to go through that. And also talk about why it needs rebuilding. We'll get to that in a minute. But I'm just going to make myself coffee first, and then we get cracking. Yeah, weather's vile out there, so I just thought I'll rebuild it in the warm here, then go over to the customer's boat and refit that over there, get that going. So let's make a coffee and then we'll get to it, shall we? Okay, so while that kettle's boiling, this is why, well, this is the symptom of why it needs rebuilding. Webasto EVO, this is the burner assembly, and it is partially blocked. So the symptom of this is the heater's on and running. Everything's getting, well, the exhaust is hot, but the water isn't. And basically what's happening is there is some fuel getting into here, so combustion occurs, because the flame sensor, which is this bit here, is picking up that flame, but there's not enough fuel going through to actually give you a flame that's giving you any great heat output. Well, let's say a reduced heat output, so the water's just, you know, the red's on getting hot. So this is partially blocked. How do I know it's partially blocked? Apart from that is, I know basically if I blow through this tube, which is where the fuel comes in, I sort of know how that feels when you blow into it, if that makes sense. So I could hardly blow into that at all. It's pretty much blowing into a dead stop, you know. So here's a new burner. I love the taste of diesel in the morning. Here's the new burner, which comes with the gasket kit and stuff. Let's get in. So this is the new burner assembly, and I don't know whether you can hear this. In fact, let me just pick that phone up, that camera up a little bit. Let's move that a bit closer. So I don't even hear this. So anyway, I can blow into that. It's not like just blowing down a straw. There's a lot of resistance there, because you're blowing actually through that gauze that's inside there. There is a lot of resistance there, but you can actually blow through it, and you get an idea if you know what a new one sort of feels like and sounds like. You can sort of judge. Well, I know this is blocked, so I can't blow through it at all. But somehow a bit of fuel's getting through there with the pump and giving us some kind of flame. But that's the new one that's going in. So burner's blocked. Why? Why is the burner blocked? Bad fuel, bad whatever. Generally bad fuel. In this instance, let's put you back there so you're not a bit so close and personal. Oh, there's the kettle. It's all stress being a narrowboat, Sparky. Right, let's put that down there for a second. Right, yes, the reason the burner's blocked, the initial installer, say no names, didn't fit a filter. So I had a conversation with said installer, and he said, oh no, the filters are an optional extra. They're not. They come with a kit. They've always come with a kit, and I even back checked that with Webasto. Did they ever come without a without a filter? No, they've always had a filter kit with them. So because that installer didn't fit a filter, the burner itself has acted as the filter, and over time it's just got blocked up, you know. So that's pretty shoddy, I think. If you get a filter in the kit, why wouldn't you fit it? Well, you know, would you fit a filter to an engine for the fuel? get to save your injectors? Yes, you would. Same thing really. So in this case, you know, that customer, he's not happy. He did contact the installer, but basically weren't interested. There you go, pays your money, gets your choice. Right, so let's rebuild this, but before we rebuild it, let's look at the components in the heater. And of course, with the new burner, you do get the gasket and the new screws as well. So we'll come on to that in a little bit. So the components of the Webasto EVO: burner assembly. Oh, what else have we got? We've got the combustion chamber, which is in there. That's where the flame fires into, and the heat exchanger. So this is like a jacket, like a cavity inside, and you've got water in and water out, or vice versa. I can't remember at the moment. Water in and water out. I can tell by the cover. There you go. Not that one. Anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. Water in, water out. Also, you've got the temperature sensors on the top, which is the water, the cold water in, coldish, returning water, and the temperature at the end of the jacket. And also inside there, you can see like there's a little stick, and that's the exhaust temperature sensor. So that's all in one module, or one assembly, shall we say. The heat exchanger. There's the old gasket. And here's the other assembly, which is combustion fan, which is under here. But also there's a few other things here. You've got your air intake, all your connections, and also the CPU, ECU, electronic control unit, is under here too. So when you look at Webasto EVOs, they are quite modular. Air fan assembly, heat exchanger assembly, burner, and to be fair, a few sensors, and that's it. We've also got some of the ancillary pipes and the covers and that we'll put on as we go. Right, so first things first, really, we're going to before we actually put the new burner back in here, we're just going to give that a little bit of a clean with they're not toothbrush, but you could use a toothbrush, that's somewhat similar, just to clean any debris out of there. Dripping water, I'm going to get some tissue out of there just before we put that new burner in. And we also need to make sure this face is clean here. I'm just doing this over the bin, so any debris just goes into the bin out the way. You don't want to be breathing this stuff in. Right, so before we pop that burner in, I've just cleaned that out a little bit. Doesn't have to be mad, doesn't have to be shiny, but just clean any burnt on debris. If they're running clean, they shouldn't be that dirty anyway. Let's get this seal out. Easy for him to say. So you get 3 new screws, and also the gasket kit there. The way to do it is to put the burner into the air assembly first. So let's just pop that in. And there's a couple of locating posts here, if you see. And this seal, there's also let's show you in a second. Right. So you can see, hopefully, the burner sits across those 2 points, and the seal around the fuel tube also sits in that recess quite happily there. So that sits on there. And importantly, the gasket goes on after that, and again locates on those two posts there. So let's hold that, and there's a little tag just sitting out of here, which is on the bottom anyway. So that just sits on those 2 posts. Just like that. And then the the heat exchanger assembly just sits on top. Quite easy really. And while it's in that orientation then, it's really quite easy to pop those, oops, he says, those 3 new screws that come with the burner into place. Let's get my, these are like Torx screws. So we're just going to tighten these up a bit at a time so we get even pressure around the 2 mating surfaces. So just nip each one up first. Quite easy really. And these just mate up to, you don't have, there's not a torque set, well if there is, I don't know what it is. I'll just all you need to do is tighten them up so the faces meet, which just compresses the seal. You don't have to sort of get a jemmy, well, be crazy on them. You just got to nip those up. They don't have to be super tight. In fact, why would you? Because you're highly likely of stripping the threads. Right, so that's the heater bodies assemblies mounted together. So what we do have now, if I turn it over, we have some plugs here that we can start to reinstall. Now the good thing is they're all different. Everyone is different, so you cannot really go wrong. That one's the temperature sensor, goes in there. This one is the, is it that way around or the way around? That way around. Or is it that one? Let's have a look at it. It's that one. If you just see, that one's got like a little bit of a cut extra on it, which actually marries up to this one here. So like I say, you cannot get them wrong. If you're trying to force them and they don't go in, they're the wrong one. So that's that one. And then there's also down here, which is the little sort of harness for the sensors that comes in through here. Where's the tag? And the good thing is they sort of go where's nearest, so it's not too difficult really. But like I say, they all go in one place and one place only. Now there's a little plastic insert that sits on the side there too. Which just sits there when you come to reassemble. It's easy to forget that bit. Right, so that's there. This harness just sits in that little gap there between the in and outlet. Just like that. It just pushes in. That's it. So you see, I don't know if you can see that. It just pushes into that little gap there. And then we think about putting the covers on, which is the large cover here, which just clips on. There you go. So that just clips on the top there, and of course now that little bit of plastic that we just put in the back there, that's now captive between that top plate and the connection. So that's just covered that little bit of harness up a little bit. So that's that bit there. All we've got now really is the in and outlet, which now sits on the top, and you can see they're marked in and out. So I'm going to leave them pointing opposite like that for now, and just nip them up. Because I might have to move those later. Okay, so that's there. So what's left? I haven't clipped that quite on properly. So what's left is now the mounting plate, which is what is used to fix to the boat somewhere. And and there are 10, there's 2, 3, let's go with 3. There's 3 small screws there with 10mm heads that actually then hold that bracket in place. Now the good thing is, one thing Webasto have done is kept the back plates the same, the brackets the same. So if you are swapping out an EVO or taking out a Thermotop C and putting in an EVO, wherever it's mounted to, you can mount this the same. There's nothing else that's common, which is, there you go, that's just the way it is. But there's nothing else that's common. But you can, at least the mounting points are the same. And it's not a 10, I think it's an 8. Yeah, it's not a 10, I'll tell in a line. It's actually an 8. Now you can see, really, as long as you take your time, well, sort of take your time, there's nothing really that complicated about changing a burner. Anybody can take stuff apart, but putting it back together is really quite simple. All you have to remember is, and I'll show you in a second, let's just tighten these down. When you first put one of these on, those screws there cut their own thread as you go in, so that you can either mount it there, or there's also mounting holes at the back here you can use. But I know that's where it was because the threads are already cut in there. So yes, if you was going to disassemble it, take the plate off, sort of the reverse of what I've just done. Take that plate off, prise off this top cover. But no, sorry, tell a lie. Take the 2 hoses out, the 2 return and feed, by just taking that screw out there. That all comes out. Just pop off this top cover. You can see, just get a little flat blade screwdriver and gently just prise those out. Then all you really have to do then is these 3 screws here. That sort of brings the 2 units apart. Of course, remembering to unplug everything first, otherwise you'll have things attached by cables. But it's pretty straightforward, really. That is a Webasto EVO. Yeah, then just moving on. So what else we've got here that we can see? You can see your fuel in here. That's the exhaust out that we've already pointed out. You've got the air in off the air silencer. That's not a filter, it's just a silencer. Then the only other thing we can pop on now is this little cover that just protects those cables and connections from the outside world. These 2 here will go onto the wiring loom, which we'll do in a bit when we get back to the boat. So that's really it. That is now ready for reinstallation on now a boat called Unicorn. So I'm going to drink my coffee. Ooh, slurp. I could easily not go out there because he's chucking it down again. But I'm going to get my tool bag together, go and pop this back, and of course I'm not going to just fit this like the other guy did without a filter. We're going to put a new filter on there as well. So we'll go through all that. Definitely make sure you got a filter. Definitely make sure you got a filter. Well, I put my woolly hat on because it's horrible. Oops, again. Right, here's the filter kit as well. So we're going to put a new filter kit on there as well. Now our boat's up there, so let's go and have a wander up and get this heater back in, shall we? Okay, so it goes here. You can see all the loom cables here, exhaust, fuel in, and I've got the water pipes clamped off. There, you can see the exhaust disappearing into the blackness. The fuel pipe runs around the back of there, straight up to the tank, which, like I say, has no filter on it. So the filter has to be upstream of the pump, so before the pump. So basically what I'm going to try and do is move this pump slightly and put the filter right here. Seems the easiest thing to do to me. And this is the combustion air in there. So right, it might be a bit difficult to film all of it, but we're going to give it a go and see if we can get that in there and some kind of viewing pleasure. Not sure about that. But yes, a bit of other detritus sat here. There's the screws for the cover, for the mounting. So let's get the heater mounted and then we can just go from there. Right, how's that, folks? It's like a miracle, I can see. You can see I've actually put the cables in, the plugs in first, because it's just easier when the heater's out to locate those. Right, one plug I didn't put in was the circulation pump, which is just sat here, but easy to get to, that one. Okay, I'm not going to connect the fuel line at the moment, but I will connect the combustion air in. See, that doesn't really need a clamp on it, it's not going anywhere. And of course we have the exhaust, which just sits there, and that just tightens up with a 10mm socket. That's got a little sleeve in it, that has, so that's not 10mm, that's 11mm. I'll check this for leaks later. There's like a little insert there, a little reducer. Need the water glug in to fill those up. So we just tighten up those Jubilee clips as well. They're Jubilee clips at the moment on these. Sometimes you see the Webasto clamps on here. There's a proper name for them, but I can't remember what they are. I often fit those on the heater itself. So that's basically the heater reinstalled. Clamps are on the hoses. Exhaust is connected. Circulation pump's connected. And the combustion air in is also connected, and also the wire and loom is connected as well, the power and the signal in. Okay, so that's all there. Right, so let's get a filter in this before I do anything else. Yeah, that looks like it might work. So yeah, like I say, the filter needs to be before the pump. There's the filter, in, out, and there's also an arrow up there for the harder thinking. Okay, so what we have here is in the kit that you don't get with an narrowboat kit. Yes, you do. You get the bracket, a couple of hose attachments, Jubilee clips, and a couple of lengths of hose as well. Probably won't, I might need one of these to go in between the two, but let's see. These need PTFE tape on, and they basically screw through here, and that's the way the clamp fits. Right, here's some PTFE tape on these, and there is a right way of winding these on. So when you screw that in, it doesn't undo the tape. So it needs to be that way. So you sort of do counterclockwise really, then that's the wrong way. I always have to think about it. But just do a little stop there. Is that right? No, it's not. So Basically, you don't want the edge to be against the rotation of screwing that back in, because it will unravel itself. So we're plenty on. I think these are 17 mil if I remember correctly. They are. So I'll just give that a that's it. So now that's the outlet. Obviously that's going to go to the pump. That's the cable for the pump. Just shove that out of the way for a second. There's no fuel in here, so it's not siphoning forward at all. So I'll have to put the pump on, get the diagnostics kit on, and get this pump actually pumping to pull that full fuel through. That's going to just go in there. I've just put the timer on just to get that water circulate out in here. There's a little bit of air in it, but not much. That pump's working okay through there. And hopefully that will start pulling some diesel through, but I think I'll have to probably get the computer on there. Yeah, as expected, that's shut down because it's not detected a flame. No great surprise there. We'll try again a few times. Right, I can get the software and I'll have to do a fuel prime on there. Presumably he's got any fuel in his tank. Who knows? Wouldn't surprise me if there's none in there. Right, so it's an EVO. No start. Well, this is just me now. Coolant pump interruption, that was me. Low voltage threshold. Command line failure, don't know what that is. VW bus, that's just because I've got the I've disconnected that controller most likely. So I'm just going to clear those. And they've all gone back to zero, so that's all good. So fuel priming, I'm just going to run this. It's 60 seconds a time, and you can hear the pumps running much faster, maybe. So I'm just going to wait till that note changes. It's quite once there's fuel in it, it just softens a little bit. You probably won't pick it up on the camera, but I'm just going to listen for that now. It'll probably take quite a few tries to get that fuel through. A few primes, that's kicked into life. You can see the temperature going up 63 degrees there. Here's the unit itself. One thing when you put these back together, if you've had your hands on the exhaust covering, it's got damp, you do get like a lot of, looks like smoke, but it's really just steam and stuff, just this drying off. So I've got I think the camera is picking that up. That will evaporate off in a minute. and we'll be running clean. Once any dampness that's been on here is burnt off, it'll be fine. I've still got to fit that spacer on the pump. In fact, the camera makes it look worse than it really is, to be fair. You can see now that there's a little bit still coming off that cladding, but it's calmed down quite a lot. Heaters are coming up, the temperature's coming up 65 degrees, so we're just checking on the rads now. I have just looked at the where there's no sensors, no feeling. Just in the header tank, there's plenty of water in there. Just backed off. Just opened each bleed nipple on each rad, just to make sure there's no air in there, and there's not. This is starting to get warm now, so we'll let that go. So I'm just going to run that, make sure it goes onto. Oh, the towel rail's getting quite warm now. So yeah, we're getting there. Let's check on those others. So there's only one more in here. Of course, it's going to take a little bit of time to warm up because it's like 12 degrees outside. So the boat and the water in the calorifier will be a lot less. That radiator's cold. Now it's starting to get warm. And we'll call it a day. Didn't hit my head last time. Radiators are getting nice and warm. 71 degrees on the controller. So that's telling me that, and it's coming up at a good rate as well. Yeah, nice hot towel rail. So all good. Right, I'll sign off there, I think, for this one. Hope you got something out of that. Typical Webasto job, really. Naughty installer though, not putting that filter on there, because all that does is eventually, I mean, the burner becomes the filter. Any debris in the fuel is going to stop there. And strangely, that same guy that I spoke to said, yeah, it has to have clean fuel, and that's the problem. Well, no, a narrowboat always got bits of crap floating around in it, so I even spoke to Webasto Marine on that one. Did those kits ever come without filters? No. So somebody just didn't bother to fit it. And there's another one of those on a boat over here, same installer. So if you haven't got a filter on your Webasto, go and take a look. And if there hasn't, put one on, because you can have a very expensive burner replacement earlier than you should have had normally. If that makes sense. Right, I'll watch this for a little bit longer, just to make sure you're all good. And then we call this job a wrap. Tomorrow I'm on a solar install. Yeah, got lots on at the moment, of course. Got some batteries to fit. One battery on a narrowboat. One leaded battery on a narrowboat. That's not going to work. Well, it's not going to work for very long. So he's bought some second-hand batteries, which I know are pretty good. So I've got to extend the battery box on there and go from 1 to 4. And a solar quote for him as well. What else have I got this week? Waiting for some lead carbons to come in for another boat. I've already done the bow thrust on that one, but yeah, tons and tons of stuff going on this time of year. And right, I'll catch you next time. Hope you found that useful, interesting, boring, don't matter. Thumbs up, thumbs down, it all works for me. Any comments below? Yeah, far away. And yeah, I'll catch you next time, guys. Have fun, stay safe, and don't forget that thumbs up, subscribe thing. See you next time, guys. Bye.